And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. You're looking at the face of yet another child killed on the streets of Houston. 9-year-old Arlene Lynette Alvarez shot last night during what Houston police say was an ATM robbery. Arlene and her family were nearby when a robbery happened. Shots were fired and Arlene was hit. The baby girl and her family had nothing to do with the crime. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, according to police. Arlene died at the hospital. So the question is, when is this going to stop? We heard from city leaders and crime advocates on what initiatives are taking place to get a handle on this. Tonight, a group of women say they need men in this community to step aside and let the mothers get a handle on this problem of violence in Houston.
So, Kathy, we definitely wanted to talk to you first because you know what it's like to lose a child to gun violence.
I do, and thank you all for being on here and us allowing this opportunity, this forum, to talk about this topic, because just like you initially said, the impact from the entire families will last a long time, and it is a lifetime sentence. And people fail to realize that when families, when children are lost, anyone's lost. The 11-year-old that was lost, the Dugas kid last week, 2 9-year-olds. This is just a lifetime sentence of grief for these families. And I say that because even though mentally you try to tell yourself to prepare when the time comes for the services, you never prepare. Even years later, here it is 15 years out for me, and my body, mentally, my heart, my mind, every time anniversaries come, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the anniversary of Patrick's murder, the anniversary of his services, constantly brings back the hurt and pain as if it was just yesterday or last week. So I tell people all the time, the way we have to try and function is to get up every day, thank God, and put one foot in front of the other. That's all we can do. Just keep walking, because you never get over it. You never heal. And I hear the word used all the time about finding the perpetrators and going to court. I have friends and sisters now that I've met over the years that have been impacted too. And you never, ever get over it.
All right, Dr. Ruth Olison, let's bring you into this conversation. What is happening to our city?
Well, of course, you know that as of September, we have something called permitless carry. So we have more guns and more people who feel empowered to have guns. I think that's a mistake. I think it's okay to have a gun that you have a permit for, but I don't understand the rationale of why we would have anything called permitless carry with the problems that we have on our cities, on our streets. We have in our city and in our country a different kind of spirit now. I am a spiritual journalist, as you know, and this spirit that we have of people who don't seem to want any kind of responsibility. They want to do things that they want to do when they want to do it. They want to drive. If you've been on the streets lately, you can be driving the speed limit and someone will come out of nowhere and practically run you over. They want to drive the way they want to drive. They want to race on the streets. They want guns. They want to shoot. It's demonic. It's dark. It's really tough. And I'm glad that we're discussing it, because we're going to have to come together and come up with real solutions. Now, if you recall, about 2 or 3 years ago, we had another rash of shootings and killings of our children. And we've had violence and gun violence for a long time. But I mean a rash of these things, which is what we're dealing with now. And we've got to do something to stop that wave. Honestly, I think it's going to require mothers, women coming together. No offense to you, Isaiah, but
I understand.
Our leaders have largely been men, and we've got to come together and do something.
Sherry, you're deep out into the community, helping both homeless, Black Lives Matter, families who face injustices. Have you seen it this bad when it comes to our children in this community?
No, and I've been in Houston since 1986, and today with the rash of crime that's taking place, my worst fear to date is losing one of my children driving down the freeway, like with what happened with the little girl who passed away, Arlene, today. And let me tell you, road rage is real. And I remind people all the time, my children are probably tired of me being hyper protective of them, but they'll get it one day whenever they have their own children. I remind them constantly to watch their surroundings. Do not be down in your cell phone when you're sitting in your car. Constantly pay attention to your mirrors. Do not have your music up where you can't hear somebody coming around you. When you're driving in the freeways, they teach you that defensive driving. Maybe some people need refresher courses. Take a breath, pause, breathe. Let these people, if they're speeding down the freeways or they're trying to start an argument, let it go. Because there's a lot of times that we're seeing these people stop on the freeways and shoot or fight, or even accidents take place. And it's not worth anybody's life losing. Now, while I understand what happened with the young 9-year-old Arlene who passed away, that was due to a robbery. I remind people, watch your surroundings because it's happening, roadways, parking lots, freeways. It's so random, and that's what's scary right now. So everybody take your precautions as you can to take care of yourselves, and constantly watch your surroundings.
And Dr. Ruth, one of the things you mentioned was permitless carry, which brings in the issue of guns. Now, when we talk about permitless carry, we're talking about people who are able to get a gun without the proper training that used to be required. Do you think that will make a difference, or is it just guns in general that there are too many of?
Well, Dr. Ruth made a good point, and I'm sorry, but Dr. Ruth made an excellent point about the legislation.
Well, I want Kathy to be able to talk about it. I'm not totally against a person having a gun if they have been trained, and especially to protect themselves. I'm a Second Amendment person. I grew up hunting, so I'm not against that. I am against guns being so accessible to people. I'm against seeing people walk around with guns or getting guns out of their trunks, carrying guns, wearing guns, all of which I have observed in my community. So,
Kathy, let's hear from you on this issue.
Well, and like I said, Dr. Ruth brings up an excellent point, and so does Cherie. The fact that we have such loose gun laws. I have CHL, and that's something that I thought I'd never want to do, especially in light of the fact that my son was murdered. So I actually got them reluctantly, but I have them. And now that there's such loose laws and anyone can openly carry, but the fact that the gun laws are so loose is, I think, has encouraged other people to just rightfully carry it. They don't have to go through a process anymore. They don't have to present themselves and show themselves worthy to be able to obtain and sustain guns in their possession. And so, the mayor and the chief has been talking about a chief gunner himself, and not to go give up too much information, but he's experienced gun loss in his immediate family. So he knows the impact of having these guns out here loose in our communities.
Now, and welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Road rage, shootings, robberies, all just horrible here in the city of Houston. Just a couple of examples of what has led to children dying on our streets. Our panel of mothers say their voices should be heard to get this under control, and want to hear from the governor himself about this.
Why don't we ask the governor, what did you have in mind when you signed that permitless carry? We're talking among ourselves. We need to ask some of these people who are higher up, who claim that they're representing us. I think that we've got to begin to ask those questions. And we've got to get this stuff changed. We got to get this rolled back. It's devastating. And Kathy, I'm so sorry. I want to express that to you because I think so often we see these stories and we look at it like it's a television show and it's going to end in 30 minutes, and it doesn't end. The grief that I've had to counsel people for goes on forever. Occasionally there are better days, but it never gets over. It is very, very serious. And if we don't do something about it, it will come and it will meet so many of us who are not expecting it. We think we can sit back and perhaps not care and not get involved, but we've got to get involved or it can only get worse.
And how would you suggest we take that first step in getting involved, Dr. Ruth? What would you suggest to the average viewer out there to make a difference?
I think that there was something that was happening in Southeast substation a few years ago where we were meeting with mothers of murdered children. And I think it needs to go to parents and families. And we really began to engage them and focus on them and try to minister to them. And I do mean minister, thou shalt not kill. I think it has to begin at the grassroots and rise up. And we must each individually begin to care and see these children as our own. I think we can find some help and solace in our churches, in synagogues, in mosques, in wherever we worship, that we come together and as a religious community begin to own this and to take responsibility for it. Everyone in a responsible position now has to come together and say, we have a problem. It's not someone else's problem. We have to come together and value life. We must make life valuable and essential. And so I want to say this, and I want to say it with a great degree of honor, that unless we value the lives of the children and young people and all the people are here, we are not pro-life.
Any final words, ladies, before we wrap it up here on The Factor?
Well, I'm going to pause some of my time to Cherie, but I'd like what Dr. Ruth said is that the mothers, the women, we're going to have to take charge. Because one thing about it, there are men that have experienced loss too, but they weren't connected to these children, these babies, and these losses like we were to the umbilical cord. So nobody can tell us what that feels like other than the mother who's experiencing it.
And I want to thank all those mothers for joining us here on The Factor tonight. Fox 26 is committed to helping keep Houston safe. Our Save Our Streets initiative will go deeper, getting to the root cause of crime in our city, including these heinous murders that we've seen. Log on to fox26houston.com to learn more about how that is being done.